All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go over this kind of much more difficult problem. And what you were asked to do with the problem that was very similar to this on the test is you were told that Alvin, Charlie, and Betsy all took tried to find the area of this triangle. And so each of them, and I've color coded it, each of them basically drew their height for their side, and then they calculated their area. Now, all of their measurements, we assume, are correct. So the mistake has come somewhere along this. So it says, while each student made no mistake in measuring the lengths of their sides or in using the formula for the area of a triangle, they did get different answers. One of them is 10.2, 11.7, 19.2. So it turns out that one of the students is, well, it goes on to say that because they got different answers, they called the teacher over and she looked at their work and she said, one of you did the problem correctly and two of you made mistakes. So the idea was to look at the work that all three of these students did and figure out which one is correct and which two made mistakes and what were their mistakes. So let's take a look at each of these. Now, the big idea that they're getting at here is that when you are trying to find the area of a triangle, you need to know how to calculate, how to find the height, because the formula is 1/2 base times height. Now the base is a side and the height is going to be the perpendicular distance from that side to the opposite vertex. And I'll show you what that means. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the correct height on this. We'll pretend that it's the same. And then we'll be able to kind of compare these two. So I'm going to use colors. So this is Charlie's color. And what I need to do is I need to find the perpendicular distance from this side to this point. Now, sometimes I have to extend the side out further because I need to have something that forms an exact right angle. So here I have a piece of paper. I don't know how easy it is to see. Here, let's color it in a little. So now we can kind of see. So I want it to form, so I know paper always forms a right angle. So I need to have something that's going to go to this opposite vertex here and form a right angle with the side. So this would be the height that I would use for this base. So this is Charlie's base, and this is Charlie's height. And he would have to take those two measures, multiply them together, and multiply times 1/2. And so let's take a look at what he did. So this was his base, but the problem is that he chose this distance. Now, it does form a right angle, but it does not form a right angle with his base. So if you want to look at it, if it's going to form a right angle with the base, it's going to have to be like this. And it has to go to the opposite vertex. And this line does not go to this vertex over here. So what we can see right now is that Charlie found the height, but the height he found was for side B. He did not find the height for side C. So that was his mistake. Charlie did it wrong. So I'll use some blue. He did it wrong. All right, so now let's go down and look at our diagram again. So let's look at the purple side. For the purple side, that's Alvin. So there's the purple side. And we need something that's going to form a right angle from this side, or the line containing that side, all the way to this. And so if I try to use my little right angle majigger, if I try to put it right here, it's not going to this vertex. So what I need to do is use my handy dandy ruler, pretend, and then I need to make it so that I have this right angle on the line and it goes to the vertex. So now I can draw my height. And of course, after you find the height, you then measure it. So this would be the height. I'll just put HT to abbreviate height for Alvin. And this would be Alvin's base. So you would measure this distance from here to here and this distance from here to here, and you would be able to find the area of Alvin's triangle. So when we look up here, what did he do? Or she, or it, or they, or whatever they are. So let's look. Alvin did not find something that forms a right angle with his side. It forms a right angle kind of way out in space. Not quite sure what's going on, but we need the distance from the purple line to this vertex, and we are definitely not getting that. So Alvin has made a mistake. Maybe they all three did. We'll see. But we know Alvin's mistake is somehow putting a box around the triangle and assuming that this is a good enough height for this base, not finding the distance from this purple line to this corner, and it has to be one that forms a right angle like this diagram does down here. So now let's look at the final side. That's the side that's red, and that's Betsy's. And so here's Betsy's side. And if I want to find the height for Betsy's side, I would normally do it right here. But Charlie had already used that measure. So I'm going to kind of explain what I ended up doing is I ended up drawing a line here that formed a right angle with this side. So, and then once I had done that, then I also had to make sure this formed a right angle to make sure that I didn't make it longer than it needed to be to that opposite vertex. So this is the perpendicular distance from this base to this vertex. So this is the height that Betsy found. This was Betsy's base. And as long as she measured it right, and they all did according to the problem, we now know that Betsy calculated her area properly. And so Betsy gets a cookie. Betsy did it right in her work here, red. So she got the correct answer.